What's going on, guys? It's your boy Lyra here. Lyra TV is the new name for the stream, and we are live. We are going to be doing some reacts to Piers Morgan today, and we are also going to be looking more into Nick Fuentes. I have seen a lot of clips of this guy, a lot of clips, none of them great. I will just say that. But let's go ahead and get started. We have uh, some guests on today. Looks like, where are they at? Oh yeah, Andrew Wilson. Um, oh wow, we got Ben Shapiro on later, and Isabel Brown. So Andrew Wilson and Isabel Brown have already spoken about the immigration policy issues, and now Pierce acknowledges them and tries to ask a question. I want to see what happens.
We want.
Okay, Paula, thank you for your patience. Welcome back to Uncensored. This whole thing about immigration has been raging now as a debate in America, in the United Kingdom, across Europe. Clearly, there are a lot of issues about the way governments around the world have handled the issue of immigration, particularly mass migration of millions and millions of people across the continent of Europe, never mind anything else. It's been nearly 10 million people have come across in the last few years. And we had 10 million people entering the US illegally in the Biden administration. And that may be a conservative estimate. These things are causing a lot of anger amongst people who are in countries legally, who do all the paperwork. I've repeated this many times, but it's worth mentioning again. For me to own a home in America and to work there, I go through a very laborious process every 3 years or so to renew my visa, to do it all above board, to be completely legal, as do millions of other people. And, I'm not an American, but I quite resent people just popping over the border illegally when they fancy it. Because I think, well, they're not paying, they're not going through this laborious process. Why are they getting away with this? So I do think that there is more that can be done. It's just a question of how much more and how you do it. The UK policies under successive governments have been utterly useless. We've got 50, 60,000 people just coming over on these small boats from France with complete impunity.
35,000, I think, Piers, was the last count.
For this year?
Yeah.
What will it be by the end of the year?
Well, we're a month to go.
Right, but I think it's a new...
Right, but they literally have had a record high by the way, the date as of the last count is September, so you got 3 more months to throw in there, and that's the heaviest part of the migration traffic. So just take a chill pill, lady.
Record. Right, this is from Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister promised to smash the gangs.
I just think we need to be careful, though. This is exactly the point, isn't it? That we need to be careful when we're talking about figures.
What are you talking about?
What we're actually talking about is human.
What? Careful how? Why? Careful to offend criminals that are breaking the law, trying to overtax the system? Oh, you can't just be the world's charity case. You literally just can't do that. Like, physically you can't. It's impossible. It breaks the system. I don't know what she means. Be careful. Ugh. People like her piss me off so bad.
We're talking about lives. We're talking about people who have lost their lives because they...
That is not look, it's not the U.S.'s problem to handle every single charity case in the world. It can't be done. It's not possible. If we did, we would bankrupt the United States and you'd bankrupt the UK. You idiot. What are you doing? Hang on. Let's get this in the clip. Hey YouTube, welcome to Lyra TV. That's the new name for the channel and the live stream over on Kick, so check it out in the description below. Today we are reacting to Piers Morgan describing the immigration problem, both in the UK and the U.S., very aptly, I might add. And I think he just has a really great take. Andrew Wilson is on, and Isabella, of course. They've already given their takes. So I usually think that Piers is pretty based when he talks about this stuff. So let's hear him out.
To work worth estimate. These things are illegally in the Biden administration of millions and millions of people across the continent about the way governments around the world. Thank you for your patience. Welcome back to Uncensored.
Here we go.
This whole thing about immigration has been raging now as a debate in America, in the United Kingdom, across Europe. Clearly, there are a lot of issues about the way governments around the world have handled the issue of immigration, particularly mass migration of millions and millions of people across the continent of Europe, never mind anything else. It's been nearly 10 million people have come across in the last few years.
Yep.
And we had 10 million people entering the US illegally in the Biden administration.
Way more than that, 20 million.
Estimate. These things are causing a lot of anger amongst people who are in countries legally.
And the Democrats want to provide all of their health care completely free, even though they've illegally crossed into our country, and just expect handouts front and center. It's going to, what about the American people? What about the civilians that live here? What about us? America first, people. Come on. Take care of your own.
Who do all...
You can't be... if you have a house, an apartment, I don't care where you live, but you live somewhere, okay? And you can't just let every single person in need off the street into your home. You'd be out of food, out of money, and probably out of valuables quicker than you can freaking count to 10. Come on, people.
The paper, but I've repeated this many times, but it's worth mentioning again. For me to own a home in America and to work there, I go through a very laborious process every 3 years or so to renew my visa, to do it all above board, to be completely legal, as do millions of other people. And, I'm not an American, but I quite resent people just popping over the border illegally when they fancy it. Because I think they're not paying, they're not going through this laborious process. Why are they getting away?
He's like, hey, I got to do this process to come over to America all the time. What the hell? What the hell's going on here? Well, that ain't fair. Of course not. It's stupid. It's retarded. I don't know how anybody can think anything else.
With this. So I do think that there is more that can be done. It's just a question of how much more and how you do it. The UK policies under successive governments have been utterly useless. We've got 50, 60,000 people just coming over on these small boats from France with complete impunity.
35,000, I think, Piers, was the last count.
For this year?
Yeah.
What will it be by the end of the year?
Well, we're a month to go.
Right, but I think it's a new record. Right, this is from Sakir Starmer, the Prime Minister promised to smash the gangs.
I just think we need to be careful, though. This is exactly the point, isn't it? That we need to be careful when we're talking about figures. What we're actually talking about is human beings.
I'm pretty sure that as of the date this video came out, I don't know what it is now, but this was only a day ago, and I'm pretty sure that the last count only counts up to the month of September, and the months of October, November, December are one of the most highly congested traffic times of migration across Europe and the English Channel. So let's just calm down here, lady, and don't jump down his throat and get all defensive. I feel like you're gonna.
We're talking about lives. We've talked
the gangs.
I just think we need to be careful, though. This is exactly the point, isn't it? That we need to be careful when we're talking about figures.
No. Oh my God, enough of this. Enough. Be careful. Are you afraid to hurt people's feelings when they're draining and destroying your country by being such an overwhelming... It's a numbers game. Okay? You have a bowl. Okay? And then you have a box of cereal. You cannot fit the entire box of cereal into the bowl. If you get a big enough bowl, you can fit more cereal in it. But that just means that you got more boxes. Like, look, it's a numbers game, lady. It's not personal. You have to address it with reality, not be careful. It's a problem. It has to be solved. Okay? You don't have to talk careful about it to upset somebody's poor feelings. God. Oh.
What we're actually talking about is human beings. We're talking about lives. We're talking about people who have lost their lives.
And so we should accept the destruction of our own lives so that we can aid them. Okay, I get what you're saying. Give up all your possessions. Open your home to the streets then, lady. Just let every single homeless person come right on in. You wouldn't do that, you hypocrite.
Because they are seeking a better life, and because
hang on.
their opportunity.
We found out. Paul,
let's not conflate the two. Let's not conflate
but you are
the two
conflating two
refugee
things.
and asylum seekers
Yes.
with those who are seeking to make a
And what
better
about
life for
those-
themselves, and the opportunity for
Yes.
them to do that is either.
For example, specifically with people coming on into Britain illegally from Albania, turned out 15,000 Albanians in 1 year were just coming over, who were young, perfectly fit, healthy people, male predominantly, who wanted to get a better economic life for themselves. They're not asylum seekers. They're not refugees. They're people who live in Albania who just want to come and try their luck in the UK. I don't blame them for trying, but a system that just allows 15,000 to come in as we did in that way, and we had a word with the Albanian government, did a deal, and suddenly it was stopped. But it should never have been happening to start with.
There you have it. I mean, really, I don't know that there should be any more to this discussion. I think Piers pretty much just summed it up. Yeah. That's the end of the video, guys. I'm going to watch the end and do a full react with the live stream and upload that both on Kick and YouTube later. But that's it for this clip. Look, guys, it's a numbers game. It's pretty freaking simple. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like the commentary, and we'll see you next time.
Every so
All
often, there's a
right.
piece of cinematic entertainment that just feels bigger and bigger. Not another Hollywood reboot, but an epic story of courage, faith, and meaning. The Daily Wire has gone
we're
all
gonna
out with this
skip
new
this.
7-part series, The Pendragon Cycle,
Ooh,
Rise of the Merlin.
I wanna see
It's
this,
based on a
actually.
book series by Stephen R. Lawhead, and it's a retelling of the classic King Arthur legend. The first official trailer just dropped. You should go and check it out. In this extraordinary world, pagan gods fall silent and empires collapse. But one man's vision ignites a civilization's rebirth. Merlin becomes the bridge between myth and history, shaping the destiny of kings. What's not to like? The Pendragon Cycle, Rise of the Merlin, premieres exclusively on Daily Wire Plus on January the 22nd. Watch the full trailer now at dailywire.com.
January. Yeah, so
I'm intrigued
far
that you don't
away.
blame them for trying, because of course you understand what it is to have ambition.
I don't blame people. Paula, I don't blame people for
I'm
trying
grateful
to get.
that you've
No,
said that.
Let me be clear.
And-
Let me be
and-
clear.
but what you-
Hang on. Let me be clear. I don't blame anyone for trying their luck. Right? The world is full of people that do that. But
Multi-millionaires and billionaires who try their luck.
But as Ronald Reagan so rightly put it, if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. Right? And that is obviously true. And the way that we in the UK have tried to manage our border has been ridiculous. I mean, there's a great irony today that new figures came out about legal immigration numbers, which are now falling quite precipitously in the UK from a net migration in 2023 of nearly 1 million people in a country of just under 70 million. So a vast number of people coming in with the government's endorsement, who were coming in legally, mainly people we wanted to come in, bringing in all sorts of dependents. So nearly 1 million people in 1 year, obviously completely unsustainable on already creaking public services. And what's happened in the last year since the Labour government came into power? I think nearly 500,000 people have left the country, right? They've just said, we're out of here. because this is no longer an attractive place to live.
Who has made?
So in a way, the immigration issue is being resolved by people literally fleeing Britain to avoid the calamitous state of the country right now.
Who has made those people feel so unwelcome?
Keep voting against this. They keep voting against
They
this.
do.
They keep voting against mass migration, and they keep being ignored. And they've been voting against it, for 30, 40 years. And
because
they just
they've been
keep
sold
being
a lie.
ignored.
They've been sold a lie about mass immigration. Because you can go on our government website. You can go on our government website now, the .gov website now, and you will see the very long list of empty jobs that are desperately required to be filled. So we can talk about jobs from our construction industry,
Lady, they call it Londinistan.
to our care industry, to our medical industry, to vets.
What are you talking? What? They call it Londinistan. People are so angry there.
Who calls it that?
It's a boiling pot.
Who calls it that?
Hang on.
Who calls it that?
It's a boiling pot.
Who calls
it that?
And the
thing is like, it can be totally avoided. It can be totally avoided if you follow the actual will. Hang on. If you follow your actual will of your own people who consistently vote against this stuff. And you guys use every back door in the world to ignore them anyway, even though your own people are like, we don't want it anymore. They've consistently voted against it, and the UK government consistently betrays them.
It's destructive.
I don't know who calls it that name, and I don't know who you're referencing when you say your people.
You've never heard that, huh?
But what I do understand is that we have been consistently misled about the importance of immigration, about why we need people to come to this country and to your great nation to work. We see that in your farmers, for example, who are struggling to get their crops in, who are losing money over and over and over because they do not have the workforce to replace it with those that have lost. And when we talk...
No, they're not. This is a bullshit lie. I'm sorry for my cussing here, guys, but come on. Who are we kidding here? This is a bald-faced lie.
When we talk about, Piers, the people who have departed from this great nation, why is it? Well, it's the same thing that we saw with Brexit, wasn't it? When we saw the great Polish workers and the Romanians, etc., leaving in droves because they were chased away by the blatant racism, the outrageous behaviour that they were receiving.
Racism has nothing to do with it, lady. You are out of your mind. You see everything through the lens of color, and you are completely indoctrinated by that theology, that ideology of insanity where color of your skin matters first and foremost. That is the opposite of what Martin Luther King Jr. spoke about in the 60s. You are completely insane. Holy crap.
You just said a bunch of stuff that wasn't true. What actually happens is not that we need more illegal immigrants, especially here in the United States. What happens with these farmers is they get massive subsidies. The will of the people is that we don't want mass migration, and a country is made up of its people. Our people don't want mass migration. The people in the UK don't want mass migration, and my GDP argument is not going to help you with that. You understand?
Every country,
there's more important things than second-class slave laborers to fill your pockets.
Of mass migration.
They don't want mass migration.
Every country has grown great from mass migration. So to deny that is misleading society. We continue to need mass migration to grow our economy. It's a very basic fact.
It is not misleading to say we have let too many people come into Britain, both illegally and legally, in the last few years.
You would agree with that? I accept that there is regular immigration and irregular immigration. I do not accept that human beings are illegal.
You can call it whatever you want, lady. It's still illegal.
I voted against Brexit. My worst fears are being materialised. And you talk to any hotelier...
Irregular and regular migration. There's only regular migration and irregular migration. This is ridiculous. What a complete buffoon.
Restaurateur in any of the major cities, they can't get the staff anymore because they've all disappeared, right? And that's been a real problem of that. But there's another issue, which actually we can discuss as a group, I think, here, which is if you look at the numbers of people who are out of work on benefits, in other words, the state is paying for them, a very large number now in the UK, it's like 5 million in total, Over 1 million of those are off work with anxiety. When did we as a society, Paula, allow millions of people to simply say, I'm feeling a bit anxious, I can't go to work, the state has to pay me? This is ridiculous.
Well, I don't recognise what you've just said.
I just told you.
I don't recognise what you've just said as what is happening.
You sound like a politician.
I appreciate...
You're not denying the facts, surely.
Well, what I understand is that to get signed off sick from work, you need to go and see your GP. So what you're suggesting to me is that a professional is now complicit in defrauding...
I'm saying it's a load of old baloney.
But that's what you're saying.
I'm saying it's a load of old baloney.
Is complicit in defrauding our benefit system.
Well, I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying a lot of people are
So that means that the people who have been signed off work sick have been signed off work sick because they are sick.
And let me tell you, Paula, it's a load of old flannel, and you know it, right? Anyway, let's get back to the bigger picture of Trump here. Isabel, Donald Trump came in with a very clear mandate to do a number of clear things. From your perspective, how many of those things is he getting right? And where do you think the peril is for Trump?
Yeah, I want to come back to that in a second, Piers, because I just have to say, as an American watching this, and we try to lend our platform on my show and the Daily Wire to amplify the British plight right now that is happening with the complete invasion of your country and the destruction of British culture.
It is an invasion.
Sorry,
don't you interrupt her,
I'm an
you
immigrant.
dumb
Suggesting that I've
bimbo.
invaded Britain.
If you are immigrating to a country appropriately and assimilating to that country's culture, more than welcome with open arms. But what we're watching in the UK right now is not immigration. It is immigration without assimilation, which is by its very nature invasion. We are watching the destruction of British culture to the point that Christian singers on the street are being told it is illegal for them to sing Christian gospel music while you can play the Muslim call to prayer 5 times a day in the street.
Can you just identify to me what you understand British culture to be so that I can then respond appropriately? Because I don't understand that British culture is in any way being diminished by immigration.
Called a radical extremist. People are being called racist and xenophobic for flying the Union Jack in their homes or out on city streets. People are being thrown
not in their homes. They're not. I'm not aware of that.
And or
in
in the street, she said,
are you
you
saying
bimbo?
that it's a part of British culture, that's what you're saying has been under threat to raise the flag within our homes? Because that's not something I recognise.
In order to identify the problem here, British citizens are being thrown in prison for years and years and years for retweeting concerns about their inability to seek a job in the workforce being taken over by someone who just showed up 5 minutes ago, or their taxpayer dollars being used to pay for social services for those who are not legitimately seeking asylum or refugee status. We are watching the United Kingdom crumble before our very eyes.
Well, I would say, hang on. Let me put up a little hand for my country here. I'm in my country. I don't know, when were you last here, Isabel?
I was last year. I was there in Scotland.
Okay. And did you feel in fear of your life everywhere you went from this invasion or not? Holiday season is here. I'm probably not alone and wondering if I'm being ripped off when I'm buying gifts online. I always can do it. Play that. I don't like any of that, right? All that stuff. There are 500 free Jews.
Same week that they started throwing people in. Apparently not, but I was there the same week that they started throwing people in prison for Facebook comments.
There are issues in the United Kingdom, in Britain. There are issues about free speech, proper issues, right? People have been imprisoned for stuff they put on Facebook. I don't like it. I don't like seeing Graham Linehan being arrested at the airport by armed policemen for jokes he put on X a few months before. All that stuff is ridiculous. I don't like the fact that seemingly a quarter of all the people now on benefits in this country are people suffering from anxiety. We've become a soft, weak country, and we're enabling people to play that card to avoid putting in a hard day's work, and they're getting paid by us to sit at home. I don't like any of that, right? I do think there are some issues on the immigration thing which are serious. The small boat scandal, which it is, the tens of thousands of people just coming in on boats all the time, especially when the weather's good, is terrible and has to stop. We lost the plot completely with legal migration, allowing way too many dependents to come in. Our public services simply can't cope with the avalanche of people that were coming. However, the idea that we're living in some kind of Islamist state now and that nobody can walk the streets of London without fearing for their life is massively
even if she did, she wouldn't be far off.
Exaggerated. So I do think there's good, and it's been whipped up a lot in America, I have to say, where I say to my American friends, you really need to come to London.
You have genuine Islamist communities where only Sharia law applies in your country. In other words, if any white people live in any of these neighborhoods where their jurisdiction falls, they're under Sharia law. And if they go into those communities to shop or to do anything, they're under Sharia law, which is one of the most egregious human rights violating pieces of shit that you could ever have in a legal system.
And you need to sort of walk around. I mean, just walk around. Trust me, I was in New York recently, LA, I was in Miami. I don't feel any more fear than in London than I do.
Yeah, the areas you're walking, Piers, I promise you, are not where you're going to see the kind of dystopian, bleak, and very, very scary reality that is New York and LA. Okay?
Any of those cities. So we've got to get perspective here. However, there are fundamental points about things like free speech, about control of migration, which there are legitimate concerns being raised by legitimate people who actually are right. These things have to be dealt with, and they're not being dealt with.
Absolutely. And I think often our media tends to exaggerate some things as well, Piers. I was in New York 2 weeks ago and had a lovely experience. And I think the fear certainly is reaching an all new time high in old media, which is why new media like this matters so much. But when I see an imam from San Diego, for example, take a trip to Birmingham in the UK and proudly proclaim on the international stage, rather, the UK will become a Muslim country. America will become a Muslim country.
But why would you give that any thought whatsoever? Why would you give that any credence? So if I came to your beautiful...
Yeah, but, okay, so why then can people not complain about immigration and they get arrested, but this guy can say that UK will become an Islamist state and not get arrested? What the hell? Do you not know what Sharia law is, girl? Are you nuts?
Nation tomorrow and stood on your street and said, with my fist held high, this is it, I am now going to conquer America. Honestly, you would take me seriously and see me as a threat. Of course you wouldn't. So why are you taking this individual as somehow gospel and that they must be listened to?
All right, look,
it's feeding into a fear that doesn't exist.
Okay, I'm actually...
ridiculous.
Sorry, Brian, you want to say something? Yeah.
I'm sorry, Pierre. I was just going to say it's interesting that she didn't answer the original question, which was, do you feel Donald Trump has fulfilled his promises? I didn't get an answer from her on that. And I just want to, if I can respond to that real quickly, is the war over in 24 hours? I'm just curious, have prices been plummeting or has inflation been up for the last 5 months? How have those jobs reports been? I'm just wondering, I'm just curious, is there peace in the Middle East? Remember when he said there was peace a few weeks ago and we had a ceasefire deal? I mean, the only promise he really kept was he was going to, pardon a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists, some of whom beat police officers of their own baton. Some of them are back in jail. So I noticed she didn't answer that question. The bottom line is he hasn't fulfilled almost any of his promises. And when things go bad, he insults reporters. When things go bad, he blames Joe Biden. He blames Pete Buttigieg. He blames Barack Obama. He blames George Soros. Well, that's why.
Well, on that point about him insulting reporters, his sort of ongoing battle with the media rages on. I want to play a comment where he actually called a female reporter piggy. Let's take a listen to this.
There's nothing incriminating in the file, sir.
Brian, what did you feel when you watched that?
I'm absolutely repulsed by that. First of all, he's the president of the United States. To call somebody Miss Piggy, he's supposed to be a leader. He is supposed to lead the way. and in a sense be a role model to many out there and be professional. You're the president. It's beneath the presidency. Every single time somebody asks Donald Trump a question that he doesn't want to answer, for example, the Epstein files, he asked, who are you with? Where are you from? You're fake news. And then he attacks them and threatens them.
Well, let's take a look at that clip too, because the two go hand in hand in a way. Another female journalist. Let's take a look at that clip from the Oval Office.
It's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych it. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right.
Now, the White House released a statement saying about the piggy comment. This reporter behaved in an inappropriate, unprofessional way towards their colleagues on the plane. If you're going to give it, you have to be able to take it. One of the theories behind that statement being that the reason he called her piggy was she was asking too many questions and was being a greedy pig. He didn't actually say Miss Piggy. Brian, your response to that rationale?
Let me respond to that first, and then the last clip you just played. First of all, even if that was true, which I don't think it was, a president would say, hey, I want to give other people a chance to ask questions, or I have no comment on that.
But
Please
Donald Trump's never going to do that. That's not why he got elected.
Because he's repulsive. That's why. Now, going back to that clip that you just played, that reporter asked two very good questions. The Saudi prince was sitting right next to Donald Trump. Our own FBI concluded in an investigation that he was responsible for the murder of an innocent journalist. That's a good question. The second good question she asked, respectfully, by the way, why won't you just release the Epstein files today? Why do you need all these Republicans' approval on it? She asked it respectfully, and even if she was disrespectful, if you don't want to answer the question, then just say, next question. Can you imagine if, I'm going to tell you something, if Joe Biden or Barack Obama called reporters Miss Piggy, or if Barack Obama or Joe Biden, or quite frankly, any Democrat answered a question in that fashion, I'd be calling them out as well. But MAGA Republicans, so many of them don't seem to have any problem with that.
This guy drives me nuts. I can't stand it.
Every single day.
Let me ask Andrew what your thought is of the piggy comment in particular.
Yeah, who cares? These people call him a fascist. They call him a rapist. They say that he tried to screw his own daughter. They call him every name under the sun. And suddenly, oh, it's beneath him. You know, it's beneath. It's beneath the president. I bet you if I went back and looked at this guy's content, he's probably called him a fascist. He's probably called him a dictator. He's probably said that he's a rapist. He's probably said all of these things. And so the thing is like, hang on, man. I didn't interrupt you once. Hey, I didn't interrupt you once. It's beneath your station to interrupt me. It's beneath your station to interrupt me, sir. It's beneath your station. So the thing is like,
things about me that aren't true.
Can I calm down? Can I at least finish and then you can rebut? So the thing is that they call him everything under the sun, and this guy says one thing crashed anybody, and everybody loses their mind. It's like, these are not good faith actors at all. This guy knows, even if he specifically hasn't, his entire party has been calling this guy a fascist and everything else, and a totalitarian dictator, and saying that he's a rapist, saying that he's a multiple felon, and they do all of this and run these hit pieces on Trump. So, of course, occasionally he gets upset and he says something back, and then suddenly it's like, oh, it's beneath your office. It's not beneath the office of any of these newspapers to consistently bash this guy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
All right, Paula, your response.
I'm slightly confused. Your president is a convicted felon. Am I right about that?
He's not a rapist.
And secondly, he was found to have, and I don't want to get this wrong, so Piers, I'm sure you correct me, sexually assaulted a journalist. Was it E.J. Carroll? Again, forgive me if I've got... Yes, thank you.
And it was false.
And she won damages for millions and millions
for defamation!
In a civil case.
In a civil case, that's right. So a finding was made by 12 of his peers.
Right, but the criminal conviction... Yeah, but Paula, the criminal conviction, just to be clear...
Well,
just to be clear, on the criminal conviction, for example, I do think that was an utter farce. Today's show is sponsored by OneSkin, which can help all of us look even younger. OneSkin is redefining skincare with cult favorites like OS1 Body, Face and Eye, built around their patented OS1 peptide, which is clinically proven to target senescent cells, a key driver of skin aging. Backed by 5 clinical studies, OneSkin products improve skin texture, firmness, and elasticity over time.
Piers.
They have more than 10,000 5-star reviews, born from over 10 years of longevity research. OneSkin's OS1 peptide is proven to target the cells that cause the visible signs of aging, helping you unlock your healthier skin and hair now and as you age. For a limited time, try OneSkin with 15% off using code Piers, that's Piers, at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code Piers. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them that we sent you. They dragged a former president through a criminal court for shuffling a bit of paperwork to potentially hide something he says didn't happen, but hide an alleged one-night stand with a porn star 20 years before. That was demeaning to the American system.
If you want to dismiss
they did that.
the American criminal justice system, that's a matter for you. I'm just responding to what you're...
Can I just respond real quickly to what he said, if that's okay, Piers?
Sure.
First of all, I don't represent the Democrat Party. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not even a Democrat. Number two, I've never called Donald Trump a fascist. I don't like the word Nazi. I don't use that as well. Number three, Donald Trump called Kamala Harris a fascist multiple times on the campaign trail. I didn't hear you complaining about that. Number four, I don't know which people you're referring to, but the buck stops with the guy who's the president of the United States. Now, I'm not saying this is World War III when he calls somebody Miss Piggy. What I am saying is it's beneath the presidency. And you make all these excuses and you curl up into your MAGA pretzel like you MAGA supporters always do. Why can't you just say, hey, guess what? He probably shouldn't have responded that way. It's wrong. This isn't the first time either.
Let me answer your question. Yeah, sure. I'll answer your question because I think it's good. I think it's good that this guy rips these reporters to shreds. I think it's good that he pushes back a little bit in culture. And the reason that he was elected was, hang on. Do you want me to answer the question or not? The reason that he pushes back is because that's what we have him there to do. He's designed to push back against the culture, against the lying mainstream media.
That's why we voted for him.
Since COVID-19. And the thing is we know that now, don't we? Because we know for sure that there was all sorts of political pressure put on by the Biden campaign to remove stories that they didn't like about C-19 and things like this. We know for sure that, and that's what this guy is there for. He's there literally to push back against the mainstream narrative.
Excuse me for interrupting you both.
No, shut up.
But excuse me for interrupting you both.
No, you're not going to interrupt him. Shut up.
You can't help yourself.
Well,
it's
the other
beneath
side,
your office to do this. It's beneath your office to interrupt me.
Forgive me for interrupting you both, but what I'm trying to understand, and I think has been raised, is you can push back. No one's saying that you can't push back, but push back with an answer. Answer the question. That's your pushback, surely. And without an answer to the question,
but you're wanting Donald Trump to behave like a conventional president.
He did push back with an answer.
The one thing we know about Donald Trump is
I threw him out of a club.
Well, Donald Trump
That's what he said. He gave an answer.
He did. So, and the truth about Trump is he's never going to be presidential. That's why he gets elected. Precisely because he's not like every other president. People may not like it. He's a trash-talking New Yorker who gives it back with bells on when he gets it. And I do think, Andrew, I don't defend the piggy thing. I think he shouldn't have said that. I don't like the way sometimes he talks to the women in particular. However, it is entirely true that Trump has been subjected to the most vicious, sustained abuse of any president in history by the mainstream media. You have, with impunity, called him a Nazi and a fascist and so on. And I'm sorry, that's a little bit worse than calling somebody piggy for asking too many questions.
Okay, but the reporter didn't say that, Piers. If somebody in the press called him a Nazi, then that would be grounds for taking your credential away. I agree.
He has a predisposition toward the press.
And I keep hearing these excuses from Andrew all over again, blaming the left. Well, it's the media. And no, listen, I don't want to. Maybe I'm different than Andrew, I guess. I don't want a president put there to call people second-grade insult names. A president is put there to lead the country, to help us with the economy, yes, maybe to end wars, and to help the American people, not take food stamps away from people, not take Medicaid coverage away from people, and not to make people laugh or talk about it.
Actually, he is there to take food stamps away from illegal migrants, you moron!
injecting yourself with disinfectant. That's not why we.
All right, let me
understand.
ask.
The
All right, let me
very
ask
same
Isabel.
time you
Let
attack
me ask
him,
Isabel, if I may. Isabel, your response to that.
On that note, it was brought up. Could you imagine if Joe Biden would have ever said something like this? Let's not forget, Joe Biden said to the face of a voter, one of his constituents, in December of 2019, he called him fat. Look, fat. And he was upset with a question that he was receiving as the sitting president of the United States. So again, we play this game all the time of breaking news. Donald Trump is being Trump, but we refuse to acknowledge the ridiculous double standards that exist in American politics. And we pull the wool over our eyes.
Getting upset over name calling the media that has utterly abused him constantly, more than any other figure in the world history, by these organizations, these companies, these mainstream legacy, no good, dead and gone news agencies that have berated him, attacked him, abused him constantly for years. And he has a predisposition toward them where he will absolutely insult them, and they deserve it for the most part. And even if they don't, who cares? You really gonna die on this hill? You really think that this is worth worth anyone's time? It's utterly it's obnoxious. It's obnoxious and stupid.
When we have seen for the last decade in American history, virtually every single legacy media outlet call Trump a Nazi, a Hitler apologist, a radical right-wing fascist, someone who's going to literally start World War III, every single name under the sun, with the clear objective to villainize him and villainize anyone who has ever supported him. It is that type of villainization, for the record, that led to the radical...
Okay, and let me ask you, Isabel, I want to change to a couple of other fun stories of the week. But first, before I go to Paul, I want to ask you, how long has it taken you to prepare aesthetically for this panel? Hair, makeup, so on.
About 5 minutes, probably, Piers.
Paula, how long has it taken you?
About that time, because
Right.
makeup's amazing here.
Right, so there's no disparity here between the white member of the panel, female, and the black member of the panel, female. We can agree on that. Same amount of time, right? There's a reason I'm asking. Let's play a clip from Michelle Obama this week.
Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim and we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all.
Last time, Paula, I went swimming in the sea, for example, there were a lot of black women in the sea. Last time I went to the gym, there were a few black women in the gym. This is all baloney. And she's on this weird little victim tour, Michelle Obama.
God.
I think 2 weeks ago was about how she couldn't afford to have a team at the White House. Literally, her and Barack Obama are two of the richest people in America. Now it's like the terrible agonies of living up to white. Do me a favour. She doesn't actually believe that, does she?
Of course she believes it, and it is a reality. And I'm intrigued that you're actually upset about this, as opposed to going, oh, OK, is that what it's really like? So, yes, I have lost jobs because of my hair. I was even told by other black women, maybe you should straighten your hair, Paula.
Why? What job?
What? I'm a barrister. And I have lost roles.
You lost a legal case because
no,
of your...
I didn't lose a case.
Hair.
I didn't lose a case. I'm saying I've lost roles. I've lost jobs.
What role?
Because of my because of my hair. I've written all about it. It's in various articles.
Well, give me a little.
So I was told, for example, that hair like this, I didn't look like a barrister. I didn't look like what the clients would want. So I should straighten it. I would fit in more if I straightened my hair. When I got my hair braided, I was told that it looked messy, and that I should straighten it and just keep it tied back in a bun. I was told that relentlessly, and as I say, I was actually told that not only by white women but also by black women, because we feel as if And this is this kind of subconscious message that we're fed from a very early
Oh
age.
my
That
God!
to look perfect is to look like a white version of yourself.
Honestly,
Oh
all
my
right, Andrew, I'm
God.
going to bring you in here. I don't buy this.
Come on, men, you tell me that I'm
cannot
wrong.
understand.
I can't wait to hear this.
Somebody as successful as
Well,
Michelle Obama on the global stage had one of the
the thing
biggest selling
is
books of
that-
all time.
But it's not a
Everybody is
weakness.
held.
It's not a weakness, Piers, that she's
It's a
evidencing there. It's not a weakness.
It's a false playing of the victim card.
Why is she playing a victim card?
Because she's saying of all this pressure to conform to look like white women. No, she doesn't.
But there was a pressure. I'm telling you that my own
Do you
anecdotal
really believe
experience-
Michelle Obama doesn't go swimming because of her hair? I don't believe it.
She didn't say she didn't go swimming. I understood that there were occasions where she didn't go. There's definitely been occasions.
Andrew Wilson has
There's
just-
definitely been
Andrew
occasions
Wilson,
where I haven't
Andrew
wanted
Wilson
to
may
get
have
my hair
actually
wet.
just self-immolated in fury about this. So we've lost him very temporarily. Well, let me ask Isabel. You're a white woman. Do you think that black women you know are intimidated by how you look, your hair, your makeup and so on, to the degree that they want to conform to look like Isabel Brown?
No, I don't, Piers. And in fact, I think beauty standards have changed so substantially over the past few years that in many ways the script has been flipped in America.
How many years? How many years, Isabel, would you say that this script has been flipped? Just out of interest.
Oh, what are you
Of
trying to
course,
get
in
a
my
gotcha
lifetime,
moment?
I'm 28
What-
years old, and I certainly don't see any sort of institutionalized conversation happening in America today. Truly, if you have lost a job because your hair was traditionally considered quote unquote black hair, my heart goes out to you. But I don't think that this is a larger institutional problem to tell women, hey, just make sure.
But you have acts that have now been passed federally across your great nation, don't you?
can't
Crown
hear
Acts, I
her.
believe that they're called, where you are there specifically, legally protecting women of colour who want to wear their hair naturally in the workplace. That's right.
Sure. So if you want to wear your hair naturally, by all means do it.
So
You
what
needed
problem
a
is
law
there?
to be passed
But
to
Paula,
ensure
Paula, do you-
that their employees protected.
Paula, you post a lot of extremely impressive videos of your workout routines in gymnasiums. So clearly, this terrible pressure you're feeling does not extend to going to the gym. Because you go to the
51
gym,
I'm
you're
51,
very fit.
Piers, and like
the videos
Michelle-
are great. I don't see anyone feeling cowed by a need to do it like a white woman.
It's
Piers, I'm
complete
51.
horseshit.
I don't care anymore what you think about my hair or what the world thinks about my hair. That's why I can look like this. And that takes time. So when I was growing up, Isabel, and you may be able to understand this, there were no magazines
You're
where there were
58?
people who looked like...
Wait, so, okay, which means that you were literally, like, what, born in the late 60s, early 70s? You grew up in the 80s. Everybody's hair looked like your hair. That was the rock star hair. Are you nuts? Look at Twisted Sister. Oh my God, she's insane.
me in them. You know, there was no magazines where I could reference what was the best hair products used
But that's
in my
not the
hair.
case now, Paula.
That has changed. Absolutely, Piers, that has changed. But you're suggesting that what Michelle is saying is somehow wrong and that she's feeding into some kind of
I am.
victimhood. It's a reality, Piers.
No, it's not.
It's a reality.
It's what I call...
And if you want to spend
it's
the
what I call
afternoon
rich-
in a
it's what
hair afro salon with me,
I
then
call
you're
it
welcome
rich
to.
virtue signalling woman of either colour narrative. It's just, I'm not buying it. It's like when famous white female Hollywood stars start whining about their terrible life. It's like, shut up. It's fine. Michelle Obama is one of the most privileged people in America. Nothing has held her back. Certainly
Piers,
not her
do you know
hair
how many
or her-
times I have men who come up to me, just come up to me. Isabel, I don't know if there's something that you've ever suffered with. Men will just come up to me and we will be putting their hand in my hair and at the same time saying to me, can I touch your hair?
Piers,
And it's white men who do that to
Have
me.
I ever done that to you?
You haven't, but I would say yes.
You know
if
why?
did.
Because I'm an old-fashioned gentleman. Brian, you'll be relieved to hear I'm not going to talk to you about the intricacies of women's hair. However, I do want to talk about one of the most fascinating stories of the week, which is the Olivia Nuzzi scandal. She, of course, was a top New Yorker journalist. She got embroiled in a scandal involving R.F. Kennedy because they were alleged to have had an affair. It led to her splitting up with her partner, Ryan Lizzer, another top journalist in America. She's now released a memoir about her affair called American Canto without ever actually referring to him by name, is the understanding. It included this extract that's got a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Like all men, but more so, he was a hunter. In a literal sense, he used not a bullet, but a bird. It wasn't about a chase, but about a puzzle of logic and skill that amounted to a test of his self-mastery. He was the mouse and the architect of his maze, the giver of his own pleasure and torment. He desired desiring, he desired being desired, he desired desire itself. I understood this just as I came to understand the range of his kinks and complexes and how they fit within what I thought I understand of his soul. I mean, this is heavy-duty stuff. Ryan Lizard responded by saying that she had a previous sexual relationship, with a US politician, and she hasn't responded to that yet, and there's more coming from Ryan Lizard. American media is agog with all this. Do you care?
Well, the reason why I don't care too much about this is because we know who Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is, right? We know who he is. We know his past. We know the cheating and the lying and his ex-wife who sadly committed suicide in the diary. So I believe her. But I think coming out there and doing this memoir is a little maybe distasteful. I guess that's the word that I would use to describe it. Do I care? Well, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is in a pretty powerful position under the Trump administration, so a part of me cares a little bit. But I already know who Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is. It'd kind of be like if 20 women put out memoirs about how they claim Donald Trump sexually abused them. I would care, but I would say, well, it doesn't surprise me because look at all the women that have already come forward. I feel the same way about this story and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I think he's a despicable human being. He's never been faithful, my understanding, to most women he's been with in his life. And unfortunately, he's in a position in the White House that he shouldn't be in with no medical credentials at all. So, yeah, to answer your question, Piers, I do care a little bit. I'm not surprised about this. I think maybe it's a little bit distasteful to put this stuff out there when we already know who the man is.
Okay, changing gears again. Isabel, Tom Cruise has finally got an Oscar, an honorary Oscar. Let's take a little listen to what he said.
So cinema, it takes me around the world. And it helps me to appreciate and respect differences. It shows me also our shared humanity, how alike we are in so many ways. And no matter where we come from, in that theater, we laugh together. We feel together.
You know, there's a moment, Isabel, when he said, can everyone who's ever worked with me stand up in the room? And literally like half the room stood up. And it just made me think, why has Tom Cruise never won an Oscar before? Is he not possibly now, pound for pound, the greatest movie star of them all? Not actor, but movie star. I mean, he's still doing it. Top Gun Maverick is one of the great sequels ever made. He's doing it in his 60s. The idea he's never won an Oscar or never received the GOAT status for being a movie star, I think is a travesty. Your thoughts?
You know, there's a whole lot I wish I could explain about Hollywood, Piers. There are literally infinity examples of things that don't make sense to me in the upside down of Hollywood. But I actually really appreciate what he's saying there, too. Real art does have the capacity to share our differences in culture, to expose people to the beautiful tapestry that is humanity. I think that's why young people are struggling so much with this multiculturalism, globalism thing, because we're just diluting all of those beautiful cultures. And I'm hopeful to see art continue to highlight the beauty that is humanity all over the globe, whether that's in a Tom Cruise movie or anything else as well.
Paula, should he be getting more recognition for his movie GOAT status?
I mean, he's pretty cool, right? As you say, he's in his 60s and he's still thrown himself out of...
does a lot of his own stunts.
Etc. I still don't get Vanilla Sky. I'm sorry,
no,
I still don't get it.
That was a total turkey.
Really
total turkey.
But
Piers, I don't think he deserves it. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, well, listen, I love a lot of his movies.
Wait, but why? And you know that, like, I'd be shocked. I won't be shocked, but I'll be so surprised to learn that it's because he's a rich white man. Straight, rich white man. The pinnacle of evil. Fucking dumb.
But I don't consider him one of the greatest actors of our generation.
No, I said movie star, deliberately.
Okay, so do you think a movie star deserves an Oscar just because they're a movie star? I think someone deserves an Oscar because they're a great actor.
Actually, sometimes, yeah. I do think, like, For Top Gun Maverick, I felt that was such a brilliant film. Grossed over $1 billion. He was great in it, and he's a very good actor. But I do think Hollywood should sometimes embrace being a movie star and what that does. He's almost single-handedly saved Hollywood post the pandemic.
Pierce, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, Pierce, but when I hear the word Oscar, I don't think, wow, movie star. I think great performance, great actor. And listen, he's had a lot of great performances. I agree with you. He's a good actor. I like his movies. I think he's a good guy. But when I think of the word Oscar, I think people like Robert De Niro, those types. I mean, people have been doing this for a long time, like Tom Cruise. But I think
you would. And it's because he's a Scientologist, isn't it? Isn't it, Mr. Wokey? And because Robert De Niro is so wokey for you, you just love and eat up that wokey-ass cock, don't you? You stupid piece of crap. Oh,
you'd have to say
God.
De Niro of 35 to 40 years ago. Nothing since then.
Perhaps. So what movie do you think he deserves an Oscar for?
Who, Tom Cruise?
Yeah, what movie do you think it was an Oscar-level performance?
Born on the 4th of July.
Good movie. Good performance.
He was great in that.
Yeah, I just want Oscars for actual performances.
Yeah, well, there's one. There's one.
Yeah, but
I personally, I like his Mission Impossible movies. They're fantastic. And let's be real, Top Gun, the original. He should have gotten an Oscar for that. Come on.
He didn't win one for that performance.
No.
That's the
My point is, it's ridiculous. He's never won one. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis is a great actor, but he's won it 3 times Best Actor. Come on.
I think he's a much better actor. Daniel Day-Lewis is a much better actor than
He's a
Tom
great
Cruise.
actor, but he's not as big a movie star.
Well, yeah. Again, it goes back to what we said earlier. I don't think you give people Oscars for being a movie star. Does that mean Arnold Schwarzenegger deserves it? Sylvester Stallone. Would you give him an Oscar? There's a lot of movie stars out there.
Sylvester Stallone did win an Oscar for Rocky.
I know, but you don't give them an Oscar for being a movie star, in my opinion. This is where we disagree.
No, but that's where I think they're right. I think too often Hollywood actually rewards people which suits their own kind of narrative and agenda, and they forget the impact people have had on the public. I think that
Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal has had some huge blockbuster hits. Would you give Steven Seagal an Oscar?
No.
I think he's a terrible actor.
No, I don't think he's even a great movie star. I don't. But I do think Cruise is in that unique thing of being a genuinely great movie star. Who
I think
even
it's an
now,
interesting conversation. Maybe they need to change their criteria a little bit.
Maybe a best actor and best movie star.
Right.
I just want to talk to you weird Hollywood. Paula, I want to play you a clip. This is there's a new Wicked movie, Wicked for Good, coming up. Pretty much sums up our panel, I think. Wicked and good in equal measures. And once again, we've got the antics of Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Let's take a look at what's been going on here. This is something where they went even too weird for themselves. Let's take a look.
Not the time, helicopter! It's been a pleasure spending time with you. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, and I hope you will be there for the rest of my life.
I
hope you'll let my French be one of the things that you're learning how to let in.
Well, I don't understand.
So great. That joy he wanted to use in every frame.
Well,
it's a bit creepy, isn't it, those two?
I salute them, and I just filled with joy when I watched their friendship unfold like that before us. And yeah, that's what female friendship is all about. They've clearly got each other's backs, and I absolutely salute that.
But you don't know, like, it's nothing seemed awkward about that to you? Not because, like, look, the thing is that they've claimed to be just friends, but it's sort of this just unnatural weirdness. They are both self-acclaimed straight women, and they are both claiming to be friends, but they do this sort of like, and it's not even about the sexual, like, it's the movements themselves. It's not even the sexual nature. I don't even think there's anything sexual about it. There's actually nothing sexual about it. It's literally just so awkward. Like, what are they moving to or from? You can't tell. They sort of blend like an octopus, and you don't even know what are they. But like, what exactly? A gesture, a pat on the shoulder, normal encouragement behavior or kinship between friends is not expressed by a like fumbling of grasping at limbs randomly and bending over in awkward positions. I don't what is this?
The New York
What's
premiere.
weird about that?
Well, the New York premiere, Cynthia announced she wouldn't be doing interviews because of a sore throat.
Yes.
Ariana said she would then stop speaking in solidarity. Many are speculating that this may have been a secret edict from the studio for them just to shut up.
Gossiping. When you say speculating, what you mean is gossiping.
I actually won't hear a bad word about Ariana Grande. We shared a night together, and not that kind of night. We shared a night in a restaurant together, unexpectedly in Beverly Hills a few years ago. That went on for hours and hours and hours, and we became bonded friends forever. I've never seen her since, never saw her before, but we had one night in Beverly Hills in a restaurant that was the stuff of legend. So I won't hear a bad word against it, but some of that stuff with Cynthia is a little creepy. Thank you to my panel. Andrew never came back. He got something happened.
I think he dodged me, Piers.
I think it was the whole idea of having to talk about Michelle Obama being a victim when it came to beauty standards. Eventually it wired his brain so much he exploded. So hopefully we'll have an update on Andrew Wilson's health after all this. But thank you all to my remaining panel very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Piers. Appreciate it.
The wokies on here. Guys, I don't know. I kind of don't even know what to do with myself. These idiots. I like Piers. I like Isabel. I love Andrew. Okay. So, a little bit low in the numbers tonight. I'm thinking about calling it a night. And to be honest, I probably should. Let's see what we have right here. What should we do tonight, guys? What should we do? Put on some music there for you guys. You know what? Hang on. Why does it... I don't know why. Let's see. We have... Okay, we could maybe do that. But you know what? Not tonight. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Wow. Oh, man. Holy shit, is Arc Raiders really that good though? I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. Not much out there. Alright guys, I think I'm going to call it there tonight. Man, coming down with a cop. Alright, thanks for watching. We'll see you.